OklaRoots YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, we are going over a highly requested hack. We're going over a few of the most popular hacks that have been shared by members on Facebook and Instagram for Lynn's Handmade's Purse Pal. Now, the Purse Pal is such a popular pattern. I see it every single day, all over social media. I'm making it constantly. I even bought templates so that I can make even more because it's just a fun pattern to make. I will have a link for the pattern down below, and I will have a link to the full tutorial where I go through the pattern and show you every single step, as well as Lynn's own tutorial. That's right, the pattern designer even offers her own absolutely free tutorial for her patterns. I'll have that link down in the description below as well. But a lot of you let me know that there are some hacks out there that have been shared by some very creative Facebookers and Instagrammers. So we're gonna go over those hacks today. We're gonna go over a total of 4 different hacks. So the first hack we're gonna go over was shared in Lynn's Handmade's Facebook group, which I will have a link for down in the description of this video. It was shared by Kirby, who I did speak with, and she gave me her blessing to share it with all of you on the channel. And this hack is actually using cotton woven, quilt cotton, just your standard lightweight material instead of vinyl for the zip pocket portion of this pattern. So that's this back panel here, and then the zipper up top, and then the front part of this. We're still using vinyl on the card slot pocket section, but we're using quilt cotton on the back. And that's just fun because we have so many beautiful prints that we love and we cherish, and it's all in quilt cotton, right? And so we want to use them as much as possible. And this is a great pattern for any of those prints that are smaller scaled. So we're going to be able to do that today. To go along with this Purse Pal, we're going to do a second hack that was shared with me from Kaylee, who is one of my Patreon subscribers. And she actually has a totally different method for attaching the lining. So if you don't want to cut the lining and then glue it back and then hold it in place and make sure it's there while you're top stitching, and then maybe you didn't catch it. I don't know if you saw in my original tutorial, I actually didn't catch the lining the first time I went around the zipper. I had to go back and do it again. So this hack actually eliminates that by applying the lining in a different way. So both of those hacks will be done on one Purse Pal. And then we're gonna make a second Purse Pal that's gonna have 2 other hacks. Now these are hacks I just saw floating around. I don't know if there's a specific person that came up with them, but they're very popular hacks on many patterns. First, let's add a little D-ring connector up here and a little wristlet strap. So I'm not gonna go over how to make this key fob just yet. I will have a full tutorial over just these soon because there was a lot of trial and error that went into these. But I will show you how I attach this little D-ring and strap up here. And then the other hack is something that I've been playing a lot with, especially these vinyl tutorials where we have raw edges, the lining. So I don't know if you can see, but on this one, you see how sparkly it is in there? I've actually been using heat transfer vinyl to line a lot of these items because honestly, when you think about it, in the pattern, we glue down the lining anyways. And heat transfer vinyl is just like this one's just glitter heat transfer vinyl, right? And it just has glue on the back of it. So I just glued it onto the back of this, and now you have this beautiful little pop of sparkle when you open it up. So I'm gonna go over that as well. Another one of my favorite hacks you can see on both of these is using embroidery designs for our snap tabs. I absolutely love this. It really takes this pattern to the next level, and it customizes it in such a unique way. I mean, infinite possibilities with vinyl fabric combos, embroidery designs. So these embroidery designs actually are designed specifically for use with this. They are from Creations by Connie. I will have a link for them down below. So if you have an embroidery machine, I highly suggest you use these in the Pocket Pal or the Purse Pal or any pattern at all that has a snap tab. So if you're new to the OklaRoots YouTube channel, please consider clicking subscribe down below. If at any point you like this video, please give it a like. Any questions, comments, anything at all, any other hacks you have or would like to see, leave them down in the comment section. I will get to them. Everybody else in the community will get to them. The comment section is a very useful place for all of these videos, honestly. I will have timestamps for each one of these hacks. They will be listed in the description of this video. So if you just go right over here, I think, you can push the little arrow and it will expand the description, and then you can see them all right there. You'll also see all those timestamps just running along the bottom of the video right here. So you just hover over that, click on where you want to go, and it'll take you straight there in the video. All right, let's get started. So before we get started, I just wanted to show you these great templates that I purchased. These are from Tops and Bobbins, and they have a ton of templates for different patterns. Like pretty much any pattern you've seen on the channel, they probably have a template for it. So these are the templates for the Purse Pal, and it's just every single piece. And it makes it a lot easier if you're going to be making a lot of them and you're not using any sort of automatic cutting machine like a Cricut or anything like that. If you're going to be doing it all by hand, this is just better than paper. So I purchased these because I actually am making quite a few of these, but I do highly suggest these. Okay, for these first two hacks, the things you're going to need are a cut of Decoville Heavy that was cut out using the exterior zipper panel template. So this is the exterior zipper pocket, and the template for that just has that one rectangle cut in the middle, and that's it. So that's what we're going to be making fabric today. In order to have it mimic vinyl, we're using Decoville Heavy. So this is a cut of Decoville Heavy, and then you're gonna get your cotton fabric. So this is like a quilt cotton, a cotton woven, and you're gonna cut that out so that it is a 1/2 inch bigger on all 4 edges. So normally what I'll do is I will just cut out this quilt cotton piece much bigger than it needs to be, and then I'll fuse it on and trim it down, or you can trim it down beforehand. Just make sure we center it well. There's a lot of wiggle room here, so even if it's not perfect, it's still going to turn out really, really well. So those are the things we're going to be using to make the zipper pocket exterior. Now this hack does come from Kirby. She shared this hack in Lynn's Handmaid's Facebook group, so I will have a link down in the description of this video for that Facebook group. I did speak with Kirby and she gave me permission to share this with you, and I'm so excited because it really lets you use your favorite materials on your favorite wallet, which, like, that's just the best, right? The other hack I'm going to be sharing with you comes from one of my Patreon subscribers, Kaylee. Kaylee shared a different way to attach the lining to the zipper and the exterior that's different from the pattern. So I'm going to share that with you. So first, let me just make sure you know, don't cut out that inner rectangle on your exterior piece of fabric. Cut it out on the Decoville Heavy, but don't cut anything out on the middle of your exterior fabric yet, and don't cut anything on your lining. So the lining template does have you cut slits here in the middle. Don't do that. Don't do that yet. So just cut out the templates for the exterior. Remember, the exterior is bigger than the Decoville Heavy, and then cut out your lining per the template. So first, let's attach our Decoville Heavy to our quilt cotton. So take your piece of cotton woven or quilt. I use the term quilt cotton because that's just what I'm used to. I'm used to quilting. Quilt cotton and cotton woven are pretty much the same thing. So lay that wrong side up, and then take your Decoville Heavy and lay it sticky side down, so it's like the smooth, shiny side. That's the glue side. Lay it that side down and center it. Now, if you have a much bigger piece of fabric, you just kind of make sure you put it exactly where you want the pattern to be, and then we can trim it later. If you cut it perfectly like I did, just make sure it's totally centered. We want every edge to have the same amount of fabric overhang, and we want to make sure our design is not tilted or anything. So now I'm going to grab a scrap piece of fabric, and what I'm doing is I'm pretty much just like tacking down the Decoville Heavy. So I'm going to fuse it from the back side. I'm going to take my iron, very hot, nice and steamy, and I'm going to fuse it from the back side of the Decoville Heavy over this scrap piece of fabric, just to get it to stick enough to the quilt cotton so that I can flip it over and not have to worry about it moving. And then I'll fuse it really well from the front of the quilt cotton. All right, once that's tacked down, I can just lift it up and flip it over. And now when you fuse it from the right side of the quilt cotton, the iron has more access to the glue on that Decoville Heavy, and it melts much, much better. So now I'm just gonna fuse it without any sort of scrap fabric straight onto my quilt cotton. And my quilt cotton woven, it has no interfacing on it. I'm not using any woven interfacing, no SF101. It's just the material and the Decoville Heavy. That's it. And this material is amazing, right? Holy guacamole. I love the Haunted Mansion. Alrighty, so this is where we are. We have the Decoville Heavy fused onto the back of the exterior fabric. That little hole in the middle of the Decoville Heavy is cut out, but nothing is cut out of our exterior fabric, okay? So now take your exterior fabric and lay it right side up. Grab your lining pocket fabric and lay it right side down and center it. So this is our two pieces of fabric, right sides together and centered as best you can. Now this is Kaylee's hack here. This is a different way to apply the lining with the zipper, okay? This is a pretty cool way to do it. It's very similar to how we do it in bags. You can skip this if you'd like. You could just cut a slit in your exterior fabric, fold it back, and glue it down so that this opening is completely open, and then just follow the pattern as normal. but this is just another option. So I'm gonna use clips here to hold these together. Remember, both pieces of fabric are right sides together. I just don't want my lining moving on me. All right, so now we're gonna flip this over, and we're gonna go to the sewing machine, and we're gonna stitch right along this rectangle. So we're not actually stitching on top of the decoupage heavy. We're just stitching the needle. I mean, it's kissing it. It's right next to it on the inside of this rectangle. We're just sewing the two pieces of fabric together. All right, so you have these two pieces of fabric stitched together. Now, very similar again to bags, we're gonna grab our seam ripper, and what you could do here, if it's easier for you, grab your liner template and place it over that rectangle so that that little slit going down the center of the liner goes right over the middle of that rectangle, and you can use this to draw a midpoint line and then draw little triangles that go off the edge. Or if you'd like, you can just kind of eyeball it. So right here, be careful. Don't let this liner fabric here get messed up and then accidentally cut something you don't mean to cut. So I'm just starting a little midpoint slit with my seam ripper, and then I'm going to grab some scissors, and I'm going to cut along the middle of this, but not all the way to that short edge. I'm going to stop about a 1/2 inch away from it, and then I'm going to veer off and cut at a diagonal all the way to the corner without cutting my thread. So I'm not cutting the stitches that I just made at the sewing machine, okay? So I'm going to do the other side as well, going off towards the corner, super close to that thread, but not cutting it. All right, now let's do the same thing on the other side. All right, great. So now what you can do is flip this over, take your lining, and just push it through that hole you just cut, like that, and then pull it through, and you see now you have the lining attached, and it's already on the wrong side, and there you go. And what you can do is you can just kind of like fold this down. Sometimes lining does peek through a little bit like this, so if that is an issue for you, just make sure you're using the same fabric for your liner as you are for your exterior. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna pull on that lining really, really taut, really firm, and I'm gonna use some just Scotch tape to tape it down. Or this is masking tape, that's what it is, masking tape. Do this for both sides. I don't mind the lining fabric kind of peeking through by the zipper. I don't think it's noticeable. But like I said, if you do mind, just use the same fabric as the exterior, or just use a different method, you know, wrap the exterior fabric around that opening and then add the lining like you normally would when following the pattern. All right, so I've got that lining taped down, flip it over. That looks pretty good actually. I mean, it peeks through a little bit, but I think I kind of like it. Okay, so now we just have to attach the zipper. So take your zipper and make sure your zipper, when closed, is going up towards the top of your design. So we'll lay it over just like that. And isn't this cool? Look at this zipper pull. It says pumpkin spice on it. It's like a little pumpkin mug. Oh my gosh, I'm so ready for fall, guys. Okay, so let's grab some double-sided tape. So this step is just like what we do in the pattern. So I'm not gonna really walk you through it at the sewing machine, but I'm gonna add my zipper, and then I'm gonna show you what I do with these raw edges of our cotton woven material that's hanging off the edge of our decoupage heavy. Alrighty, so now I have it taped down. You can see the lining is right side out on the bottom. Everything's right side out. And now just top stitch along this window, just like you do normally when you're making this pattern. All right, so here's where we are. We have our zipper installed. Doesn't it look so cool? Oh my gosh, I love this. So zipper is installed, and then the lining is still all loosey-goosey back here, which is not what we want. So I'm gonna grab my basting spray, and I am just gonna flip up the lining, give it a good spray on the decoupage heavy, and then push the lining back down nice and flat. Here we go. Do the same thing on the other side. All right, so the last thing we have to do for this is wrap the edges. And you could have wrapped the edges before you attach the lining. That's totally fine as well. I'm gonna use a glue stick. It doesn't have to be a fabric glue stick. It could just be an Elmer's glue stick. All we're doing is just wrapping these edges down all the way here. So I wanna make sure, yeah, it's not gonna affect my zipper. Okay, so just add some glue either to the raw edges of your exterior panel or just along your decoupage heavy and lining. Yes, it's messy, it's okay. It's not gonna be that big of a deal. So there we go. So I did one line there. I'll take my fabric, wrap it down. And what I'm trying to do is just cover up the raw edges of the lining. I mean, again, you're gonna have raw edges of your exterior, then it's what it is. So once I get to the corners here, I do a straight edge just like that, and then I add some glue to this little nub, and I fold that flat corner down, and then I add more glue to the triangle bit here, and then I'm gonna add glue along this long edge. I had lots of glue. Glue's great. Big fan of glue. So I'm just gonna go along all the edges of this, just gluing down every single edge. And just don't stress out too much about these corners. Keep it nice and flat. We have no rounded corners here, so you should be okay gluing this all down. Alrighty, and if you have any of these corners that you're worried about popping up a little bit while the glue dries, just add a clip. I think these are actually all pretty good, but just to be on the safe side, I will add clips. And then just let this glue dry, so work on your card slot pockets, and then come back to this, and then you can treat this just like you do the vinyl pattern. You're just gonna fold it in half, glue it together, and then attach it to your card slots, and there you go, that's all you have. I mean, it's so cool. I love this hack. Thank you so much, Kirby, for coming up with this and sharing it, and thank you seriously so much for letting me share it on the channel. So now just continue making your pocket pal per the instructions in the pattern. Okay, so for the second pocket pal, the hacks we're gonna show this time is using heat transfer vinyl for the lining, which I personally love. I think all of them going forward will be done this way. I'll show you that in just a moment. And then also adding a little D-ring tab to this so that you can put on a little wristlet and you can carry this by your wrist. It doesn't have to just be handheld. So the first one is such an easy one. You don't even have to have a Cricut machine. You definitely could use a Cricut machine to cut this out. I didn't. I just traced it out on my heat transfer vinyl. It's just super, super sparkly vinyl. I love it. And it's heat transfer vinyl, which means this part right here, this is glue. Once it heats up, it's gonna stick to anything we have it on. And I'm gonna stick it to some vinyl, which I know sometimes people get a little nervous about fusing things onto vinyl. So let's just do it. Let's just do it. The other little thing I just wanted to show you are these awesome little snap tabs. Now I'm not going to show you how we go through this. I have a tutorial with an unboxing that kind of walks through it, and I can definitely add more tutorials for these if you'd like. These are embroidery files from Creations by Connie. She has so many awesome options. So if you do have an embroidery machine, this is so cool. If you don't have an embroidery machine, keep a lookout. There's a lot of shops that are going to be selling these, so you can buy whatever design you want and then just add it to your pocket pal. It's such a fun accessory. All right, so let's fuse this on. I have my piece of vinyl here. I'm gonna lay it so that the back of the vinyl is facing up. This vinyl side is down. Now the thing is you can fuse things to vinyl. I fuse interfacing to vinyl all the time. You just don't want the iron to directly touch this sticky part of your vinyl, which is the pretty part of your vinyl. Just don't let it touch that. Other than that, like it's easy. So I'm just gonna flip it right side down. Okay, now I have my HTV vinyl, and I'm going to lay it so that the matte side, so the matte side of HTV, that's going to be the glue side. That's going to be down against the back of my sewing vinyl. I know this is going to get confusing, isn't it? All the vinyls. Just like that. And now any sort of pressing cloths you want to use, if you have a heat press, this is a great time to use the heat press. This is very, very easy. Get some heat press tape, tape this down, put a piece of your butcher paper or your silicone sheet, fuse it down, and you're done. But you can also do this with an iron, so I'm going to show you how we do that. So I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of fabric and cover the back of my unit here. Remember, this clear film here, that's supposed to be right side up. Don't get rid of it. We need it. So just hold it all together. And then grab your iron, super hot, no steam. And then I just hold it in place for 15 seconds, putting some force down. If you have the Cricut Easy Press, which is like a rectangle iron from Cricut, that's perfect for this right here. I do have it, I just forgot to get it out. But a regular iron will work as well. There's lots of tools out there to make this easier. Personally, the heat press, my big heat press, that is the way to go, especially if you're making a few of these. And with heat transfer vinyl, it takes more time to fuse it on than it would if it was just, you know, woven interfacing or Decoville light. It takes some time. And I am pushing down on it too. I'm not just letting the iron sit there. I am putting some pressure on my iron while it's heating the back of the HTV. I guess the front of the HTV, right? All right, so let's just lift this up and see how it's going. All right. So it's pretty well fused, actually. I can't really pull up any of the corners. And I'm checking to see if that green vinyl pulls up. All right, so let's just let this cool for a moment, and then we're gonna peel off the clear film. All right, so once it's cool enough for you to touch it without hurting yourself, just peel off that clear film. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Hey there. All right, there you go. And if you want, you can go over this one more time. Again, just make sure you cover it. Let's not let the iron touch anything vinyl. Okay, so let's not let the iron directly touch the vinyl for our purse. Let's not let it touch the HTV vinyl. Let's just make sure that hot iron isn't touching anything that can melt directly. If we put a piece of fabric over it, we're fine. All right, so this is what it looks like on the back. Beautiful, right? Flip it over. This is what it looks like on the front. You haven't done anything to your vinyl, and I have done this with textured vinyl as well, and it was perfectly fine. So you can see we just have this little strip here, and to deal with that, all you have to do is grab your X-Acto knife and a cutting mat and just carefully cut right along the inside of your open rectangle here and cut that heat transfer vinyl. And now you're good to go. Just attach your zipper and you're done. You don't have to worry about fabric edges or anything like that. I love this trick so much. So once you have that HTV cut, you can see on the back, and you could have pre-cut this rectangle if you'd like. You definitely could have pre-cut your HTV and then fused it on if that was easier. I think that actually might be easier. Probably should have done that. But once you have that fused on, now you're just done with this piece, and you can just top stitch your zipper on just like the pattern suggests. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll talk about adding the D-ring. Okay, so now our zipper is attached. How cute is this? And it's just so easy. It's just so easy. I love this. And if you're like me, I don't know if you're like a crafter and you spend too much money on all the things. I have so much heat transfer vinyl, especially this beautiful glitter stuff. So I'm just gonna be using this on everything. I love it. Okay, so for my D-ring, I'm gonna be using a piece of vinyl. This is 2 inches by 1/2 inch, and I keep the raw edges. I did edge coat the raw edges on the long sides, not the short sides, because that will be eaten up in the seam allowance. And then I have a 1/2 inch D-ring. So all you have to do is just wrap your vinyl around the bottom of your D-ring and then pull it together like that. And you can take this to the sewing machine and just sew as close as you can to the D-ring just to help hold it in place. I actually like to add a rivet here, so I'm gonna do that. You might wanna cut your vinyl to about 2.5 or 3 inches if you're doing this, because this is a pretty small area for a rivet, but I think I'll be okay. But to make it easier, do it a little bit longer than 2 inches. I've got my rivet press here. This is the one that has the hole punch on it. And I just eyeball it, center it, pop a hole in there, take one of my rivets, poke it through just like that, and then grab my rivet press and press it down. All right, so I actually just glue this in as I'm gluing the sides closed. So at this step, we're gonna add a bunch of glue to the edges of the sides of the lining side for a zipper pocket, and then we fold it like this and just clip it and let that glue dry. And all I do is I take my little D-ring here and I just insert that in right there, just like that, and I glue it in there. And then that way, whenever I sew all of this together, I'll just sew the D-ring in place as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So you can see I'm just grabbing my glue and then just adding glue. I add it just along one side, but I'm pretty generous with it. You don't want to get the glue too far in towards the lining. Remember, we still want this to be a pocket. So if you start gluing here, that's not gonna be good because you can't use it as a pocket then. So just along the edges. And then I actually do fold it and clip it. This glue does not dry fast, so you can work with it for a while and add to it without having to worry about it staying permanent or anything like that. All right, and you can add your D-ring wherever you want. You could actually add it on top of this pocket when you sew on your credit card slots and just sew it in place. I just find it easiest to do it right here. So I've already got a good amount of glue there. I'm just gonna plop this in like that. There we go. And then I'm going to add the clips around it to hold it in place. So when the glue dries, this will be glued in place. And when I remove the clips, I don't have to worry about this falling off. And it's not a hard thing to sew in anyways, but look how cute this vinyl is. This is gonna be such a cute wallet. Ugh, they all are so cute. This pattern, I'm telling you, it's one of the best out there. It's amazing. All right, so now I'm just gonna continue sewing this together like I do normally in the pattern, and that's it. Holy guacamole. These turned out even better than I thought they would. Like, I knew they were gonna be cute because the pattern is so good. It doesn't matter what you use, it's gonna be cute. I love patterns like that. But, oh my gosh, I am just, the Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion is my favorite experience. I wouldn't even say ride. Haunted Mansion is just my favorite vibe, right? It's my favorite experience. I love it so much. I love when I can incorporate it into any bag pattern, wallet pattern, and then look at these little guys. These are like little skulls, I think, but I look at them as little indifferent faces. They're just kind of like, you know, I'm here. That's like me on many days, honestly. So I love this so much. I love that we can use quilt cotton with this. I love adding the little D-ring up here so I can make it into a wristlet, carry it on my wrist when I go to the parks. This was so much fun. So I hope you give these hacks a try. I really do. And if you do, make sure you leave a comment down below. Let me know how it goes. As you can see, I cannot stop making these, and these are just the ones I made for this hack tutorial. I actually made 4 for the original tutorial as well, and I do have plans to make more. It's just a fun, quick, easy project that is so satisfying, so useful. Lynn's, you know how amazing you are. We all know how amazing Lynn's is. Her pattern designs are out of this world. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope you're having a great day. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Get out there and make something. Bye, guys.